Alright, welcome back to sunny Arabia. Actually, I better swap our players around here. Won't be a second, guys. Like magic. It's like you didn't even see anything happen. Professional, 5-star, hook this lad up with a sponsor. Anyway, Carnage is trying to go for the alley here. This is actually really quite nice because as Babylon, it's not as though he has to really worry about storehouse efficiency. He can just plonk the ox cart over here and then pull it back onto the low ground later on. So we've got Carnage here, yellow trunks, as Babylonian on his map pick, down 1-2 in this series after taking the opening on Overpass. So we've got Eery here, play number 2 here, up 2-1 on Romans, light blue trunks. So we've got a reversal of the matchup from game number 1. Similar rush distance and both on quite large maps because Overpass, not really a little map by any means, but I suppose you do lose out on a good chunk of the map because of that stupid high ground in the center of it. But at the same time, it's not a bug, it's a feature, man. It's actually a nice little part of the map, really. I like the map, to be honest, and a lot of people don't. I actually quite like Overpass. But saying that, both our players sort of missed out on it. It's actually come out since Age of Empires 4's release, and if you don't know, now you know. These guys, it's pretty big names in AOE 4. Pretty solid contenders. So, Carnage going for early spears. While Eery is holding off. So, while I've been rabbiting on about Eery always opening with an early barracks and Carnage always holding off for age 2 and barracks while he's aging, it's actually not happened this game. The opposite's happening. So maybe it is a little bit matchup dependent. It's not playstyle at all. They're just copying each other's homework, man. Man, look at these happy crocs, eh? They're thinking, man, I want to get me a piece of that scout. A bit of person and a bit of horse, or a bit of 2 for 1. So Carnage trying to raid Eery here. He's gone for berries. He's even gone picker's gloves. And so score diff. It's all berries, basically. Eery's actually going to repair the storehouse. And the spears are just close enough to be attacked by the town centre as well, which is a little bit rough for Carnage. At the same time, he seems to just be on the edge there. Now they're not under attack. Oh, there we go. Yes, they are. Oh, there. Carnage having to be careful. Pull that one back. It's all down to like less than an actual unit's space position there. So there you go. Eery's going to try and fight the spears, and Carnage hasn't realised this yet. So well, Carnage could have actually probably taken out a Vill then, I think. If he had focused on the low villager with the 3 of them, the moment Eery tried to melee them down, I think he probably could have picked off a Vill or 2 there. So perhaps the slightest of misplays there from Troll Hercules. And he'll have to try and either take this elephant or get on the low ground. He's already cleared that low ground one, so he can do that with ease. And I mean, these days the aggressive huntables deal so little damage. It's not really a problem to leave like a croc or a lion up anymore. It used to be. But I mean, I think the damage has been cut down to like a quarter of what it used to be. So Carnage, H2 already. He's got the stables on the way. Well, Eery out of the Castellum. He's still surviving off that berries eco. But the pain in the ass about berries eco is that there's only so many berries up on this high ground. So, I mean, Carnage can only see 2. Eery can see 4 to expand onto after his first. At the same time, Carnage He's on another hunt, so it's quicker. And he can always fall back to his safe berries. Man, I want this series to go to 5 games. I mean, it'd be so cool if it did. At the same time, I don't know, Eery, been on a roll in the past 2 games. Carnage, things just weren't going right on his Norse. I was sort of expecting him to actually take game 3 and then drop game 4, rather than Eery. Oh, take game 2 and then drop game 3, rather than Eery taking both of them as such. So now got Eery going in with match point on his side, while Carnage has got to fight to stay alive and he's got to win the next 2 games. And so we've seen a lot of one town center aggression for games 1 and 3, where our players have been able to outmuscle the other with the 1TC style. While in game 2, Carnage was actually slower on the second town center, but both players sort of having to play around initial armies, but then playing around that second town center. So sort of like a semi-fast second TC, if that's a thing. Are we going to get like AOE 3, where we just add semi-fast in front of every build that gets changed? Like, gets slightly nerfed, so you start training slightly more shit before it, so you start calling it, it's not a fast fortress anymore, man, it's semi-fast fortress. Are we going to be like that, guys? Are we really going to be like that? So, I don't know what it is, but these guys, Carnage in particular, Ecotech averse today. Eery has actually got Picker's Gloves, which is pretty much a no-brainer. But he's actually taken both Handsaw and Pickaxe, which Carnage hasn't yet. So, Carnage is actually going for mixed army. He's going to want to really focus down the spears with the bowmen and rely on the merely focusing down the Decurions, I think, as well. These guys do have a great 40% pierce armor. There's a nice wall here from Carnage, but at the same time, clay walls slightly squishier than the stone walls. So Eery could chop through them pretty quickly. Carnage is going to be fairly quick on the repair, and I mean, he does have lances to back this up. He hasn't got pharmacology just yet though, so it's not as though he'll be able to regen against Decurions. At the same time, the lances slightly faster. Yeah, they're an extra half a movement speed faster. Eery trying to bait Carnage into his army, but it's not going to quite work. I think Carnage will just take a little bit of harass and be done with it. Just sit back on the defensive for the time being. Well, Eery actually added auxiliary camp, so he can go for some quick slingers here. Or he can even just take Sacramentum now and get ready to produce bowmen in Age 3. Because, I mean, he's really going to be building around the Echoes in Age 3 versus Age 3 Babs, because really the only thing Babs can do about it is produce Spearmen. Because like, if you basically just build Echoes and Scorps as Rome, Babylon, there's very little you can do about it just with those 2 units alone. Like, it's honestly one of the more difficult, probably the most difficult thing Babylon has to face in the civs, in all their matchups at the moment, I think, is dealing with Ekes plus Scorpios plus officers plus whatever, you know. Because the Roman player, basically once they get those two, they'll just be able to produce whatever they need to counter whatever else is really still being a threat to them from there. In saying that, the Roman player does need to survive till age 3. On smaller rush distance maps, it can be quite easy for the Babylonian player. If they do get lucky with an early couple of Decurion kills, or, you know, at the moment something goes south for Romans, it can end very, very fast in age 2 because Babylon's bowmen and because they're lancers. At the same time, compositionally, age 3, I think it gets really, really tricky for Babylon. For Babylon. Not to say that it's auto-win or that it's the matchup as a whole is imbalanced, but I think age 3, compositionally, decision-making is definitely a lot easier for the Roman player. You know, and it's on a civ where normally you got to stop and think a lot about what you're going to try and do compositionally, because age 2, you know, a lot of the time you do want to try and skip slinger production just so you can cram out even more Castellums for that set age 3. Because if you can, playing around Ekes and Scorpios, plus other infantry is, plus your infantry is always quite nice. It's easy to control. It's easy to pull the Ekes off to go on raid, while still having some melee to actually camp Scorpios, who are also, you know, if you can't afford to wait on or afford to invest into Rams, it's nice having Scorpios for a pseudo anti-building unit, because they are a siege unit. So Carnage just backing off at the moment. Things have really settled down here, and he's up by 8 villager production. But in saying that, Eery has cut through the first line of defense. Carnage has really got to try and get enough either cavalry or spears back to defend this, because there's a lot of Decurions on the doorstep. Eery, rest of the army's just coming back home to defend the second town centre. Eery's second TC, even though it's right on the entrance, Carnage is his 2, and it's actually further away from his first town centre. And Eery was actually able to snipe a TC off Carnage in game number 2. So Carnage going to be able to defend. Good Lancer count early on here, but he's lost the 2 layers of wall, so it's a bit more build time going down the sink. And so, yeah, H2 on smaller maps where you sort of can't really get the space to actually do Decurion pressure like this, or on even bigger maps like Watering Hole, where you end up going all the way to 12 Decurions before aging if it's been a particularly chaotic fight, because it's quite an open map. It can be quite hard for Rome in longer age 2 situations, or when you go into age 3 and you're initially there after having made the investment. Babylon really gets a bit of a swing back their way, I think, in terms of power in the matchup. Because, I mean, at the moment, Carnage is really getting most of his value out of his Lancers. I mean, he's got this mixed comp of the Spears, Bows, Lancers back at home, but for now, the real breadwinner here for him has been these Lancers. He can keep harassing Eery like this, force him to have to bring back the Spearmen. You know, it's always a pain in the ass when, even though you've got units that counter your opponents, they can just disengage. Like, if your unit is faster than the unit that counters it, it can be a real shit of a time, and it can really force your opponent to have to do something like this where they just have to commit. And so Eery's basically relying on the fact that even though he and Carnage are both maxed out, he's seen 30 population worth of Lancers move out, so he can come forward with the Slingers, with his melee, try and take on this army of Carnages without its cavalry front line, because they can be a real threat to infantry and to all the range to lie. But in saying that, Carnage back just in time now. Finding out the TC probably hasn't helped Eery here, I don't think. When it looks like Carnage cleans up this army, you know, I wouldn't say for free, but definitely comes out of that in a much nicer spot in the end. Army size wise, but in saying that, Eery did take out a lot of villages. The Carnage eco count is 60 to Eerie's 59, and that does factor into account all of Carnage's ox carts. And like, look at the placement of this one. Come on, big fella. Get handsaw and bring him up to the wood line. But Carnage's army comp is up by about 15 population for the moment. Though Eery, I think that went pretty well for him. Even though the armies looked horrible, the area with everything dying there, did take out enough of Carnage's eco. He sort of undid the damage that the earlier Lancers had done. Now Eery's really trying to cordon off his base in order to try and deny more of this raiding. Carnage is going to be able to clean up some more villages in the meantime. Ooh, will this last Lancer be able to get out? No, I don't know if he can. Eery's going to be able to clean him up, but the rest of them will be able to get out. So Carnage can bring a bit of a sigh of relief. He knows where Eery's army is. He can bring the rest of his together. And this time he's up in terms of the population. Eery getting Sacramentum now. H2. Still for the time being. That's, yeah, been more of a drawn out H2, and I think now is sort of the time where it starts to, like I said, get a bit tricky for the Roman play, because they've got to invest in quite a few slingers to hold out against a big bowman ball. That's not necessarily an over-investment from the bowman civs. You know, you might already be at Decurion count max, or you might have already lost your Decurions, or both. So Carnage trying to Silver Age. Eery will be wanting to do the same thing so he can get those Ekes and really force the Babylonian player back into having to produce spears, where he can make his own Scorps and spears. Because I mean, Carnage has forced Eery to make a shitload of spears. But the problem with that is that once he gets Lancer Champ and Bow Champ, it's not really going to be enough, I don't think. Eery's sort of going to have to be the one that dictates the compositional pace here in this matchup if he can. He's picking off another villager on the low ground there. 77 to 71 in terms of the villager counts. Ox cart counts, I think, probably pretty much even that out at the moment. Carnage adding some more military at the moment. Eery continuing to spread out along the high ground. He's walling off. So third town center now for Carnage. He's getting a Lancer champion, Bowman champion, like I said. It's a scary spot for Eery because with 53 spears, even though he's fighting against a very cavalry heavy comp, the other half of the composition is bowmen, and their champion lancers, so they're pretty much the best cavalry in the game at actually fighting against spears, other than maybe cataphracts. And when you're talking spears that are even in terms of upgrades, it's not really a great fight at all. Eery's age up will be finishing up, but he needs to get an Aquilifer in the mix, needs to try and get a bunch of Ekes in the mix as well. So Carnage going to find somewhere else to raid, but Eery, he's big on his walls, man. He doesn't want any cheap harass. He'll have none of that nonsense. He's gonna triple layer walls. Such Arabia, man. Such Arabia, man. And this is such Carnage, is play a greedy boom map like Arabia, and then just YOLO and be later on the walls than your opponent anyway. Although, I suppose compositionally, he's forced Eery off any sort of cavalry until now, really. And I mean, I'm just going to have to get royal guards even. And Lancers with the charge can really take cost-effective fights against spears. So I don't know if Carnage really even needs to worry too much about too many royal guards. You get a handful for, I guess, just for tanking for the bows, really. But Eery, that's a lot of walls, man. That's a lot of walls. So now, he's transitioned to a lot of bowmen as well. Ekes as well, but because he's invested in the ranges, he actually hasn't got that many Castellums. Is the plural for Castellums, or is it like Castellia or something? I'm sorry, man, I'm not not Italian or Roman. I was gonna say not Norse, but it's not Norse, is it? I might actually know how to say it if it was. So Eery, the Great Wall of Eery. Do you guys remember the Great Wall of Dak? Like, I was going over all the classics from Celeste, all the show matches, and I remember the Great Wall of Dak. Do you guys remember the Great Wall of Dak? Anyway, Carnage just annihilates two Decurions. Eery bringing a bunch of spears this time. So the Lancers, they won't find that fight so easy. And they've got a couple more upgrades this time. So don't know if the charge diff really is as impactful once you compare like fully upgraded spears and lancers versus comparing age 2 or unupgraded spears and lancers. It sort of goes from being a clear, oh, Lancer champ will fucking evaporate them, to, oh shit, well this might not be so well for the Lancers. But in saying that, like, Ekes against Lancer champ, just because they can't just charge disengage so easily, because Eery's going to basically be throwing them away in order to pump out Ekes. Yeah, that's sort of a strat, just Ekes bowman, I guess. And Eery, it's actually camping the gold and the berries, but Carnage has just said, I don't need no gold and no berries, I need rocks. I need pebbles, I need stone. So Eery, man, his base just looks so menacing. It's just because of the multi-walling, man. Like, when people do this to me on Arabia, I just like, basically like look at my watch and then just like sigh to myself. And then just sort of do some weird all-in-y bullshit and then pray it works. This is really smart here. Carnage is bringing royal guards, but then Eery's running away. Unbelievable, guys. How does this even happen? How do you mind game each other so much? Like, it's like, I'm gonna blindly defend you, and then it's like, I'm gonna blindly back out so you can't kill my units with your defenders. Like, guys, what the fuck? You haven't played this game for like half a year. It's playing so fucking good, man. So Carnage denying vision here for Eery, but he's also going to distance gather gold. That comment about playing so fucking good, man. I might just have to take it back. Oh, actually, it might be because an ox cart died. So, the monkey man on the horse. I just can't get over that face, like... You know the monkeys that are where's your head at? That's like... That's what they remind me of, man. And it's funny, I was just like sitting around with Dad today and someone mentioned that song. How's that for a bit of fucking synchronicity? Anyway, so we got another market on the way here for Carnage. Eery, double market already. Eco size is 82 for Eery, 69 for Carnage. So Carnage going for the big bopper army, and I mean he's going to need to because he's going to have to cut through walls and sacrifice some units, but ooh, you might be through here. But Eerie's going for that there panic fortress, that there Celtech. And there's another layer of walls here, so Carnage's melee is just sort of awkwardly stuck. Man, I hate having to take fights like this. Carnage must be swearing his head off while he's trying to take this fight. So Eery holds fast. I think the fortress is going to go up without too much hassle here because the big crowd of Lancers has just been dismantled, and that one of them was just running on the spot there. A bit of a treadmill practice there. So Eery, low ground, gold gathering. Carnage doesn't know about it, so probably wants to combine this army and get on top of that if he can. But at the same time, Eery looking phenomenal, maxed out after that fight. Carnage really got held up at that second line of the walls in particular. Probably lost more than he bargained for there. Eery gonna get all this low ground gold that he can, because even with the double market, they're producing the caravans out of the one at the moment. He doesn't want to spend... Oh, he's pop capped, I was going to say. He doesn't want to spend too much on caravans. You know, even though you want them, it's always nice to be able to delay getting them if you can. Eery is going to have to contend with the fact that Carnage has had control of the bulk of the low ground most of the match, so you can start getting them all more than halfway gold mines. If you can get all of them, it really goes to his favour. So Eery, watch post on this one over here. Smart stuff. Carnage. He's only got mounted archers here. It'll take forever and a day to clear out this watch post, and you probably would have seen these villagers here, so he's really probably needs to clean up that gold mine. But Eery persistent with trying to cut through the clay walls. Carnage eager to hold off upgrading the stone walls because it prevents you from having to spend stone. At the same time, Eery is through at this other side. But getting that stone wall upgrade is pretty crucial because it actually gives them a lot more health. Ooh, and Carnage, oh yeah, going for the charge. I was going to say, he seemed to be disengaging an awfully long way there. And the problem with sort of running back so far to charge is that your units end up disengaging out of the fight completely once they get a kill or two. Carnage with these guys parked here. He probably needs to get on top of that gold mine, because while he's trying to pick off this gold over here, he's giving himself away over here, and he's doing nothing to camp Eerie's low ground gold mine at the moment. So it looks like Carnage has repelled Eerie's attacks for the moment. And Eery getting age 4. He's slightly ahead of Carnage in that regard. He needs to get a lot more stone in order to age up at the moment. But this does mean that Carnage has got the bank that if Eery does move out at all before aging up, you know, he really sort of throws away any advantage having that tech lead gives him. So eco size is pretty even, 79 to 78, but Carnage's 79 also includes his ox carts. And Eery has now got a fort on each of the chokes. So it's very difficult for Carnage to actually keep pushing here until he adds some siege units. And so there we go. He's got a clay wall. He can even add reinforce behind this. Carnage aging up now, and Eery adding a third layer of wall to this lower side. This top side, it's got 3, but one of them's already been taken out. Come on, guys, split the damage up so you can take out the whole wall. Like, I know it's probably a bit BM to do, but on Arabia in particular, fucking hell, it's such a choky map. If you're attacking one segment of wall, right? If you attack the one next to it, it takes all of the damage that other wall had piece of dot. So you can leapfrog it all the way along and take out this whole middle segment in about, you know, a third of the time it normally would take. And so you don't, rather than having this tiny little gap here, you take out this whole segment. And so you end up being able to take much better melee to ranged fights. So Carnage, just, ooh, really starting to wall up now. I don't know why this is. Really wants to deny raiding, or is he going to try and go for a wonder as soon as he gets his age up? He needs a lot more stone if he wants to go for a quick wonder. In fact, he needs more stone to go for a 4th town center, and Eery already has that 4th town center down, so total war as well for Carnage. Really nice universal plus 10 damage, 10% damage to all military, as well as bonus damage on top of that to villagers. So Eery just deleting a couple of villages there, making a little bit more pop space. So he's going to add some rams. Nice little proxy spot here. Eery's now got that Aquilover, so he can, well, he's got 4 of them now, so he can really rely on that extra damage. I think it's 8% damage for all your units. Eery's got this first ram. Don't know if Carnage can actually see this. Oh no, I can't actually check now that I've disconnected. But I'm still here. How does that actually work, guys? Is there a way we can fix that? Eery 76 bills, Carnage 83. Carnage still not yet maxed, and he's getting horseshoes. Mounted Archer champ. Close combat expertise is in queue for him, but it's just finished for Eery. But ooh, Eery actually doesn't really have a lot of barracks units at the moment. Eery's mostly just got bowmen. It's an interesting choice. It does make the Echoes more tanky. He does have that Primus as well. This is a big commitment for Eery to make. There's a lot of production here for Carnage as well. But at the same time, he hasn't actually walled off this part of his base, which is a bit of a risk. And now there's no front line left for Eery, and with the Lancers and their charge, with Mounted Archers backing him up as well, I think Carnage can actually chase Eery all the way back home and really thin out his army. I'm not sure if that was the fight that Eery wanted to have. Carnage, is he continuing to wall up here? Yeah, he's still walling up. He's going to cover half the map in walls and go for a wonder, is he? Right down in that little pocket, I guess. With the best spot, otherwise... Oh, yeah, where would you do it? Where would Eery do it? Right over here in the corner, I guess? Yeah, if Eery does it there... It's actually... If Carnage does it here and Eery does it in that corner... Eery can cut through that, but Carnage just cut through this. So... I'm just thinking about wonder situations, because let's be honest, guys. It is Arabia. It is a wonderable map. Oh, and Eery's ran. That's taken out both of the markets. He's cut through both the layers of walls as well. Obviously, in order to get to the markets. Duh. In terms of the active army size, though, I think. Well, here we go. Eery's got a lot more heading in now. I was about to say it was really starting to look Carnage favoured there, but a bunch of Centurions now. A big flex. These guys, expensive and strong. Built like a prop or a linebacker, depending on which code of football you play. They don't have those positions in my football. That's because you play soccer, son. Or, sorry, daughter. So Eery doesn't have a lot in the bank, but Carnage as well. Not a huge amount in the bank either. The likelihood of these players actually going for some crazy wonder. Ooh, I don't know. Considering how walled off Eery is, Eery's not losing the game anytime soon, but I don't know if he's winning it anytime soon either. This Carnage maxed out once again, forcing Eery to have to field a lot of spears. Although, like I said, I think if Eery really just printed Echoes and Siege, like, surely it'd be a good comp against the Babylon stables, right? Because Echoes beats everything in the Babylon stables, and then the Siege just cleans up everything behind it. I'd have thought. But what I know, I'm only a lowly, lower tier player. Yeah, Carnage. With the mounted archers still having to retreat here. Eery's seemingly got enough. And now it's Eery who's maxed out and Carnage who's not. Eery slipping in some raiding echoes in the meanwhile as well, but the mounted archers quick to try and defend here. Carnage is going to clean this up, but Eery, in the meanwhile, while Carnage has brought back everything to clean up the handful of echoes, Eery's going to be able to bring his army forward, potentially even pick off some of this production. And he's got the Rams up here, working the way towards the 5 markets of Carnage. So maybe cleaning up the proxy workshops, something Carnage would want to have done here in hindsight, because now he's got all these lancers up here, and it means he's got to try and find a way to defend all of his caravans here. Now look at this, the spears are going to be able to get right in front of the caravan line. Just going to go straight for the villagers, so Eery maybe overstaying his welcome actually here. Phenomenal defense here from Carnage. These Lancers will be able to get off some nice charges. A lot of idlers here for Carnage though, so he probably wants these guys in pursuit of something, because Eery putting some great pressure on both sides of his base. Ooh, there's nothing really left up the top here. Oh, here we go. Some more Royal Guards joining the mix for Carnage, but I mean, he's got these mounted archers here, which he probably wants to have either joining this force here or joining the one up the top. Eery has really done the unbreakable turtle and pushed out. GG is called from Carnage. And I believe that means Eery is our victor today at 3-1. So Eery actually really managing to win a couple of fights there that I thought the composition, he might have been better off going down an alternate route, but he really proved me wrong. He did go for some Ekers, but he still made great use of both of the auxiliary camp, both of the ranged building ranged units. Even invested in all the upgrades for them as well. So the beauty of avoiding the auxiliary camp is no doubt that you can sort of rely on the fact that you can skip range damage upgrades, a lot like Norse does. Really beeline temper and whatever armor you need. And just sort of rely on the fact that you can have really solid, versatile melee units in your composition. But Eery bringing the ranged late game Norse style, ranged late game Roman style to the table. Throwing in a bit of proxy rams at the end there, and ultimately had Carnage on the ropes in the end. So GG, well played. Thanks for letting me cast, Spartan. Thanks for tuning in, guys.